on the line. Yeah. Lay it on the line. We're pretty good. Let's go!
Do you have a humiliation kit? This is all I ask you to do.
I'm having a great finger flick. You're allowed to show up.
This team is ruining my life. I'm taking crazy pills.
With you, wherever you are, welcome to LFR.
Victory, puppy Ziggy! Lay it on the line! Lay it on the line! 2. That was 2. 2-0. Did you see? Did you see? Oh, you're the best and I love you. Back to Toronto! Leafs win! 2-0 in Florida in Game 6 to force Game 7!
As, let's all be honest with ourselves, we all knew was going to happen. There's 2 categories of Leaf fans here. There's the newish ones, the ones who were like, oh man, they looked bad the last couple games. How do they possibly look good in Florida? How do they look good on the road trying to stay alive? And then there's the rest of us who are like, no, they do this all the time. In fact, in the Matthews era, they've done this all but twice. There were the Capitals in 2017, and even that game went to overtime. And then there were the Panthers in 5 games in 2023, but of course that one went to overtime too. When the Leafs are losing a series, they almost always force 7. You know what's great? You know what's great? Maybe I'm jumping the gun talking about this right now. I've had a number of people send me stuff like, oh my gosh, 7. Oh my gosh, here we go again. My anxiety's gonna be up here on Sunday. I know this is easy for me to say on a Friday night. Nothing. I feel nothing. This is our thing. What are you talking about? Game 7? This is what we do! Yeah, but aren't you nervous they might lose? What? Oh, aren't I nervous that they might do what they did in 2018 and in 2019 and sort of in 2020 and in 2021 and in 2022 and surprisingly not in 2023 and in 2024? The worst they can do is lose, and they might.
But you thought the fear of losing was your ally. I was born in it. Molded by it. By the time the Leafs won 7 games in the same gosh darn playoff, I was already a man.
We do this! This is who we are! This is our lot in life! The Leafs go 7!
I'm not nervous at all. I also reserve the right to change my answer. Shut up. This game was exactly what I thought it would be. With, a couple quirks. The first period, overall, pretty good. They outshot the Panthers. We like that. But this game could have been over and done with early if it weren't for the penalty kill. Few minutes into the game, top line is out there. The top line is in the offensive zone. They have so much to prove in this game. Matthews, Marner, and there's Nyes, who no one is mad at. Nah, give it time. I'm just kidding. God, I hope he's okay. Matthews and Marner had a good start to this game. Third pair is out there with them, OEL and Benoit. Benoit takes the offensive zone interference penalty. It doesn't need to happen. Benny giveth, and we love Benny when he giveth, but Benny taketh away. That's a terrible penalty, and that's a key penalty killer. But kill the penalty, the Leafs did. The penalty kill was unreal tonight. That was Lane Lambert's finest work as Leafs assistant coach. Still, less than 10 minutes into the game, barely 9 minutes into the game, Oliver Ekman-Larsson takes a penalty. And it's a trip, and it's on Verhaeghe, and he did what he did all regular season. He looked surprised. He was called. You are not on the Panthers anymore. How many times can I say it? You're not on the Panthers anymore. They call those now. And once again, the Leafs penalty kill comes up big. How big did the penalty kill come up? Joseph Woll made 2 saves in the first period. 2. The shots on goal after the first period, 7 for the Leafs, 2 for the Panthers. The Leafs didn't get a power play. The Panthers had 2. The Panthers had as many power plays in the first period as they had shots on goal. Why was that? Well, this stat might come up a little bit later in the video. The Leafs outblocked the Panthers 31-10. This was a great defensive performance from the Leafs, but it was also a little bit of the Panthers letting them back in this thing. The sheer amount of times the Panthers blew a pass. They passed it back to the point. Oh, it skips over a stick. Oh, it's off target. Oh, and the Panthers have to run and go get it and regain the zone, and they got to do it differently, and they can't hem the Leafs in the way they did. They let the Leafs off the hook several times in this game. The amount of times they tried to pass it and it goes off. And a stick is in the way. Max Domi with the defensive stick, it's in his bag. It's so frustrating that it's in his bag. We saw that it was in his bag going down the stretch. We saw it in the Ottawa series. Max Domi can play defense. It's when and where he chooses to do it that is the confusing thing. The Leafs D-core in this one, I don't know how the stats shine on them, but they were magnificent. Every center in this game, magnificent. Defensively, there were no passengers. Dude, that third line, when I saw it, third, fourth, whatever you want to call it, when I saw it on paper before the game, McMahon, Domi, Pacioretty, I thought that is going to be a nightmare and Berube is going to move off of it fast. Defensively, they were not passengers, and in the third period, they were even better than that. Second period, who's ready to get mad? So, the Leafs are in big trouble. At the end of the first period, Matthew Knies appears to get an injury. What is the injury? We don't know. There are lots of theories online. Stop that. Steve, weren't you the guy with the theory that the Leafs had a stomach bug? To quote Michael at the end of GTA 5, hypocrisy, civilization's greatest virtue. By the way, that's Michael at the end of GTA 5 if you choose C, which is the canon ending to the game, and not A or B. Why would you do A or B? I'd be so skeptical of anyone who did A or B. Oh yeah, the FIB is gonna leave you alone. Devin Weston's gonna leave you alone. Merriweather's gonna, what are you, stupid? Choose C. Anyway, where was I going with it? Matthew Knies hurt, but he stayed on the bench. And he very obviously played hurt all game. He didn't have it. There were times Bobby McMahon replaced him on the top line. And even worse, early in the first period, there is an ozone draw, Matthews versus Barkov, and Barkov high sticks Matthews, not just in the face, but in the actual frickin' eyeball. Now, right away, producer Drew was in my ear when we're streaming this, like, oh my gosh, if it got him right on the eye, he might be... You know right away it didn't get him on the eye. Unfortunately, Maple Leafs fans have a very, we know what it looks like. Yes, it happened to Owen Nolan, but most notoriously it happened to Brian Berard. Matthews just sort of casually skated off. That wouldn't have happened. My guess is he got his eyelid closed on time, but Barkov, high stick to the face. Panthers take it down the other way because Matthews takes a weird change. Why would he do that? I would have loved if anyone wearing black and white stripes on the ice had asked that very question, because there's no call! Oh, heaven help the Panthers if they scored there. Shortly after, the Leafs get their first power play of the night, and it wasn't even on a makeup call, it was on the most too many men on the ice call ever. Panthers had 6 guys on the attack, which would not be the last time in this game that they did that. They just weren't allowed to do it at this time. Luckily, Matthews comes back down that tunnel and onto the ice for the power play, and unfortunately that would be short-lived because he high-sticked Aaron Ekblad in the face, and he actually got called for it! Now, yeah, he high-sticked him. Oh, well then he can't get mad about it. Bull! He got high-sticked in the face, no call. He high-sticks another guy in the face, there's a call. That is a perfectly valid reason to be very upset. And again, it is an abbreviated penalty kill, but it is still a penalty kill in a game with no goals yet, so it's tied. And once again, Lane Lambert and company, the Leafs penalty kill kills it off. Joseph Woll with a much busier period in the second, having to stop all 12 of 12 shots he faced. So how do you go from 2 shots on goal to 12? Well, for one, the Leafs were blocking a lot of shots, the Panthers were missing a lot of shots, but I think you're all underrating how good Matthew Knies is. Berube clearly didn't have a very clear picture of exactly how much Knies can play and how effective he would be, and that's your top line. Doesn't matter how good Matthews and Marner are. Part of what makes that line special is there's a third guy now who is unreal. Part of what has given that line so much strength is over the years, you know what? If we figure it out, we can shut down 2 of them. And over the years, there have been some passengers, some guys who were not at that level. When you get to the playoffs, you're playing the best of the best of the best. And they've been playing with guys who are like maybe a second or third liner on a really good team. That ain't Knies. Most nights, teams are going to struggle to throw out 3 guys better than their 3. Even if Matthews is off, or Marner's off, or even if Knies is off, it's going to be rare that 2 or all of those guys are having an off night. The Panthers start to take the game back. Matthews obviously still shaking off the cobwebs from the stick to the eye. I need to reiterate it was a stick to the eye. Simone Benoit flattened Brad Marchand. I greatly appreciated that. That was funny. But somehow, some way, still no goals heading into the third. Now in the third, oh my gosh. Oh my God. You have to give Matthew Nyes so much credit. He didn't miss a shift with the top line until, I believe, less than 5 minutes to go in the game when Berube, for one, maybe two shifts, put Lawton up in Nyes' spot. Wool continued to stand tall. Wool continued to prevent rebounds. Forget the decor, forget the centers. Everyone in front of Wall did their job. Driving the Panthers wide, getting sticks in lanes, crunching guys along the wall, blocking shots, rocking bodies. And even when the Panthers had chances, and they had chances, they were rushed. They were off target. Pucks are skipping over sticks. They're hitting the side of the net for Hagee. Here's how chaotic this game was. Max Domi and his band of merry men are heading towards the net! The other net, the Panthers net. We like when he goes that way. Aaron Ekblad hit Max Domi into Sam Bennett, into Sergei Bobrovsky, and his mask goes flying. Do you know how I know Aaron Ekblad knew, and so did Sam Bennett, and everyone knew it was Aaron Ekblad's fault? No one jumped Domi. Dude, Bobrovsky got hit so hard his mask flew off. This is a Florida Panthers special. Ekblad, Bennett was out there. I can't believe there weren't 4 fists immediately raining down on Domi, who was hurt, by the way. But yeah, like, don't push a guy, into your goalie. And speaking of Ekblad, it took one mistake. Much earlier in the game, Nyes probably had the Leafs' best chance to beat Bobrovsky, stopped by the toe. Leafs tested Bobrovsky a little bit more, but the shots as the game goes are just drying up. The official shots on goal by period were 7, then 6, then 4. The Leafs scored 2 goals in the period where they had 4. Hockey's the best! Oh, it's so dumb. So dumb. My kind of dumb. Hockey is a friend that we all know. Man, that guy's dumb. Gosh, he's a good time though. What? I don't have a friend like that. Yeah, but your friends do. Aaron Ekblad at his own blue line. Aaron Ekblad cut off by the hustle of Mitch Marner. Mitch, much maligned Marner heading into this game. And why not? Why not? The numbers in these games are horrendous. Matthews, the numbers, horrendous. The Sportsnet stat they posted before this game is, I think, the most heinous I've ever seen this account post. Of the 110 players in NHL history with 400 career regular season goals, Auston Matthews is the only one with 0 career goals past the opening round of the postseason. That is something. First of all, thousands of players have played in the NHL. A mere 110 have scored 400 goals or more in the regular season. And all of them, every single one, had at least 1 goal past the first round of the playoffs. Every one of them, except the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who also happens to be the highest paid player in the National Hockey League this season. It was somewhat of a topic of conversation. Earlier in this series, I was beating the drum. Matthews is playing well. The goals aren't there, but he's playing well. Marner, the shots aren't there, but you know what? He's playing well. Then you lose 3 straight. You're on pace to potentially lose 4 straight for the first time this season. Oh, and you'll be eliminated from the playoffs. And all of a sudden, you know, these topics of conversation came up again. In this game, I'm like, they're playing well. Score! You have to score a goal! And that's where we pick up where I left off. Aaron Ekblad at his own blue line, turnover forced by the hustle of Mitch Marner, gets it to a streaking Auston Matthews. Auston doesn't have a whole lot there. And that's the thing. That is the beauty. That is the greatness of Auston Matthews. That's the reason he's not even close to 30, and he has 400 career goals in the regular season. This is the reason this guy has scored 60 goals in a season, not once, but twice. This is the reason last year he got 69 goals and he was disappointed. This is what he does. This is what he's capable of. Matthews can score goals. You can't. Matthews grips it, rips it perfectly along the ice, and there's not a goalie on the earth who could drop into the butterfly fast enough for that. Oh, you love it off the post. You love it bar down. You love him throwing on the dangles. The most elite goal scorers in the game score with that. With certified rocket fuel, one-on-one with the goaltender and just beating them senseless. Big goal, muted Selly because he knew with over 13 minutes to go in the third in Florida, job wasn't finished. But of course, the Panthers, being the Panthers, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, they come right back. And Barkov draws the hook on Brandon Carlo. I don't like that it was Barkov. I really don't like that it was Carlo. He's been so good. And the Leafs have to kill a penalty in the third period shortly after taking a 1-0 lead. And Lane Lambert's penalty kill was killing penalties like the rent was due. And something Matthews and Marner do not get enough credit for, they were out there for this kill. They're out there for every kill. Lawton and Yarncroke and Lorentz, Benoit and Tanev and McCabe. OEL briefly, I was like, what are you doing there? Freaked me out a little. And they shut the Panthers down. Get the puck, dump the puck, don't ice it, battle along the wall, get the puck, dump the puck, don't ice it, battle along the wall, put it behind the net, try to center it, get a goal, don't. Time pouring through the hourglass. Leafs blocking shots, sacrificing their bodies. Nye's still out there, clearly hurt. Matthews out there like yarr. Tanev out there blocking shots with more limbs than Goro. And all of a sudden, Bobby McMahon, easily his best game of the playoffs. Holy cow, Bobby, he's got speed. People still haven't caught on to how fast this guy is. Speaking of fast, Max Pacioretty's got a step. Bobby! Max! Noted Alan Walsh client! Max Pacioretty again! 2-0 Leafs, and here's another stat for you from Sportsnet Stats. Max Pacioretty has 7 goals in 15 career playoff games when facing elimination. That was tweeted before the game. They had to say, update, make it 8 goals. 8 goals when facing elimination. 8! Dude, I never would have thought Pacioretty, who didn't even reach 40 games played, didn't even play half the season this year, I never would have guessed inserting him into the Game 3 lineup against Ottawa when you won the first 2 games against Ottawa anyway. I never would have assumed the impact. I never in my wildest dreams would have predicted the impact that he has had on this team in these playoffs. He is a huge reason why the Leafs are 12 games in and about to be 13 games in. He's a huge reason why they have 7 wins pursuing 8. I cannot believe the impact Max Pacioretty has had. And Bobby McMahon, that assist was his second assist of the playoffs. His second point of the playoffs. Again, I don't know that I would say he's playing bad. I think he's been good defensively. I think he's been doing some great things on the forecheck, yada, yada, yada. But it is a smaller version of the Matthews and Marner conversation. Score! Oh, Steve, it's Bobby McMahon. Let me tell you about Bobby McMahon. This was his 12th game and his second point. His first point since he got an assist in the first game of the playoffs against Ottawa, by the way. Which means he went 10 games without a point. The Leafs need Matthews, full stop. The Leafs need Marner, full stop. Bobby McMahon in 74 games had 20 goals. 34 points. If you take the season that the Leafs just had, their division-winning season, and poof, 20 goals from that season disappears, they do not finish first. Bobby McMahon activating his greatest, highest-ranking Bobby McMahonness for Game 7 would be a huge boost to this lineup, especially if Matthew Knies isn't at 100%, or maybe even can't go. The final 3 minutes or so of this game with Sergei Bobrovsky pulled a 6-on-5 attack. The Leafs were ready. The Leafs were prepared because the Leafs did, during those minutes, what they had been doing all night. Throw yourself in front of the puck. Hard along the boards. Hard behind the net. Use your feet. Use your sticks. Get in lanes. Make lives miserable. Skate! 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 And as the clock winds down, Matthew Tkachuk got a misconduct for, he went at Wool. You suck. And the Leafs survive 8-7. Joseph Woll, first Leafs goaltender with a shutout when facing elimination since Curtis Joseph in Game 5 of the 2002 Eastern Conference Final versus the Hurricanes, which is, ironically, exactly what the Leafs are fighting for in Game 7 on Sunday. Curtis Joseph was the last guy to get a shutout in an elimination game for the Leafs. Joseph Woll gets the next one 23 years later. Even though Woll only had to stop 22 shots in this one, it can't be overstated how important he was to this effort. And it's actually eerie that his effort looked like this. In Game 6 last season against Boston, Woll pitched a shutout, except for with under 2 seconds to go in the game, the Bruins score. Joseph Woll injures himself trying to make that save, and he cannot play in Game 7. The Leafs and Woll made sure that wouldn't happen again this year. And the reason it was so important, the Matthews goal that ended up being the game-winning goal, Leafs snap a 130-minute and 51-second drought between goals in Florida. Home ice matters in these playoffs, and home ice matters for goalies. Look at Connor Hellebuck. Look at how he's performed on the road. Horrible. Look at how he's performed at home. Best goalie in the world. To continue, Woll, in his NHL career when facing elimination, he is now 4-1. Goals against average of 1.13. Save percentage of .958. Shots on goal against per game, 28.2. So, that's pretty normal. And he's got a shutout now. His first career NHL playoff shutout. And this is just a huge one. Leafs blue line blocked a season-high 21 shots in Game 6. That is regular season and playoffs. Only 5 Leafs out of 18 skaters failed to register a block shot. Out of the forwards, Tavares, Pacioretty, and Marner all had more than one. They had 2 each. The D-core, Benoit, 4, Tanev, 6, McCabe, 3, Carlo, 1, Riley, 3, Ekman-Larsson, 4. Every single member of that D-core put their body on the line in this one. Just like that annoying commercial says to do. And now we got 7 on Sunday. Questions. This isn't a question, but Craig Berube says he isn't sure if Matthew Knies will be healthy enough to play Game 7. No specifics provided on his injury. Well, we have no idea what it is. I don't know if it's his arm or core or lower body, or he played the rest of this game, which makes me optimistic that the Leafs can work their magic heading into Game 7. But with a little bit of travel, not a ton of time between games, who knows? Maybe he plays lower in the lineup. He plays on the 3rd line or something like that, and McMahon goes up. Who knows? Will the noise be a problem on Sunday? I mean, if it is, you're in the wrong profession, right? If you're afraid of Game 7, then why on earth are you in the National Hockey League? Oh, well, they lost a bunch of time. Oh, so what, man? You might win this one. Matthews had no goals in the 2nd round before this game, and then he did. People keep bringing up Alex Ovechkin. He never made it to the Stanley Cup final, never won a cup until he did. You never do anything until you do it. Hey, here's a fun one. Brad Marchand has played in a ton of Game 7s in his career. A ton of Game 7s against the Leafs. He has never once in his career played a Game 7 in Toronto. Not against the Leafs, he hasn't. I don't know if there was one in the COVID bubble. That was weird. That doesn't count. Hey, here's one. Brad Marchand has never lost to the Leafs in a Game 7. Hey, here's another one. Craig Berube has never lost to Brad Marchand in a Game 7. There's going to be a ton of noise from everybody heading into Sunday. That's because it's Game 7. In terms of the noise and the negative storyline surrounding this team, they're not going to be any different for Game 7 than they were in Game 6. Well, can Matthews get it done? He did. Can Marner get it done? He did. Can the Leafs get it done? They did. It's the same question for Game 7. Can they do it? And then if you do it, guess where you're going? The Eastern Conference friggin' final. But don't overlook the Panthers. You can't overlook the Panthers. And you didn't. You didn't. You shut out the defending Stanley Cup champions in an elimination game in their barn. You can do this. Everyone knows you can do this. do you? How ready are you on a scale of 1 to 1967? I am 2025. How's that? Dude, again, this is game 7. I'm ready. I've been here so many times. I've been here an unfathomable amount of times. I am going to have a deep, peaceful sleep tonight. I am going to be A-okay tomorrow. Sunday, there will be regular nerves. And I mean regular. It's another game. It's just another game. And I'm going to talk about it after, and they're going to win or lose. Same as every year. No nerves for me. What about you? Who was the difference maker tonight? I mean, Matthews just doing something that no one else can do. This was a game with so few chances for either team, but the Leafs really struggled. And Matthews scored a goal with a shot that is not typically a scoring chance for most people. But it is for him because he's Auston Matthews! Obviously, the decor was unreal. Obviously, the penalty kill was unreal. Obviously, Wool was unreal. But that moment turned everything on its head. Was it the birds? Is that why we won? Birds. Yeah, we talked a lot about birds in the chat. You should be part of the chat. You should watch our live stream on the SDPN YouTube channel on Sunday, because I'm going to be streaming that son of a gun. I am sweating. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. And if you don't want this party to stop, it doesn't have to. Tomorrow morning. That's potentially this morning for you. Actually, it is this morning. It's so late right now. We're going to be recording a brand new Steve Dangle podcast live on the second floor of the Sport Check at Maple Leaf Square. A little after 11 in the morning, Sport Check at Maple Leaf Square. Myself, Adam Wild, Jesse Blake, previewing Game 7. What else do you want on a Saturday? Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. Game 7 is Sunday. Isn't that fun? It's fun. Stop. It's fun.